Hi, I'm Zephyr Chung, and welcome to another video of Iris Diecast. Today I'll be covering the W Motors Lykan Hypersport by JADA Toys. You'll probably be familiar with the car if you've watched the Fear 7 movie, where it jumped between skyscrapers, or if you've played video games like the Asphalt series. It's a pretty fancy car, and it has some pretty interesting characteristics like titanium LED lamps embedded with diamonds and a holographic display system, although whether that's real is a debate still to this day. There are only 7 of these cars sold to the public, and with a price tag of $3.4 million, it was more than enough for me to want it in a scale model. And when I saw this one for sale used, I grabbed it without hesitation. There are quite a few manufacturers that made the Lykan Hypersport in 118 scale. There's Top Marks, Shuko, which I believe made this model in collaboration with Kangfei, which is a Chinese model car company famous for making the Rolls-Royce Cullinan. But those two were pretty hard to come by in South Korea, so I grabbed the JADA version, which is the cheapest and the most poorly made version of the three, but also the most common. So JADA only made this model in red, which is the color of the car from the Furious 7 movie. And JADA's not really a company that specializes in making 118 scale cars. They usually make those 64 custom toys. But I've got to say, this car looks great. I mean, it has excellent proportions, and it looks really good for a car of its price range. Um, it's better than Maester cars, but uh, still, I think that the thick paint and the overall casting itself doesn't really capture the sharp lines of the real car. Um, the real car is really aggressive and futuristic looking. But the model doesn't really capture uh, that feeling. The wipers are attached onto the windshield, and it's pretty simplified. And the logo is etched into the casting, and they've just painted over it, which I think is better than using a sticker for the logo. The grills are blocked; they're not perforated, and they've just painted here in silver without using a clear part. But I think it doesn't look too bad from a distance. It looks all right. You can open the trunk cabin up front, although it has an oddly small opening angle and it gets loose over time, like mine. And one annoying thing with JADA cars is that they don't offer steering, which is just odd considering how that's a really basic feature in most diecast model cars. And it offers no suspension, and it's just a simple structure like toy cars, 2 axle, that's it. But which in turn returns provide a pretty good stance and height of the car. The rims are really well made. I think they look really nice in gloss black, although the disc brakes are fixed and won't move. The carbon patterns on the A pillar and up here, they're printed on. They're which looks pretty good from distance. I mean, it actually looks like real carbon fiber, but up close you can definitely tell that it's cheap looking and it's definitely not carbon. Personally, I think this is better than the Maisto cars, which just uses plastic to imitate carbon fiber. I think it looks better. Cars got suicide doors with hinges in the rear. That's pretty unusual. Although the model itself has a pretty small door opening angle, and the door opens outwards, which means that it gets loose over time, like mine. It's pretty difficult to get a good view inside the interior because of the small door opening angle. I mean, it does look pretty cheap in general. It's definitely the plastic look. Doesn't look anything luxurious like a real car. But I'd say that it's pretty well detailed. I mean, the two-tone paintwork is pretty clean, and all of the buttons and the paintwork are pretty clean, and all the stickers are in place. So I'd say that's a pretty good interior detail for a car of this price range. Again, it's really hard to get a look inside the interior. The door opening angles are really terrible. And onto the rear, unlike the carbon accents on the side of the car, the accents here, they're just simple plastic, like the common Maisto cars. And again, it's all blocked, not perforated. Like I said earlier, this is a post-speed car they used in the Fast and Furious movie, which is why it has the Furious 7 license plate. Although in the real movie, of course, they didn't use the actual car. They were all kit cars based on the Porsche Boxster. Speaking of which, is quite funny because the Lykan Hypersport uses the F6 engine from the RUF CTR3, and I think it shares the chassis too. I'm not really sure about the chassis, but it definitely uses the engine from the RUF CTR3, which is based on Porsche. So it's like imitating a car based on a Porsche with a Porsche, if you get what I'm talking about. And speaking of the engine, there we go. Here it is. It's pretty plain, not much to see inside there, but I think it's quite impressive how it's not in a single piece. You can, I really liked here. I think it's quite well detailed for a car of this price range. Again, RUF flat 6 engine matched with a 7-speed dual clutch or a 6-speed sequential manual, which is a pretty odd choice for a supercar transmission. You don't see a lot of manual supercars these days. So W Motors claims that the Lykan Hypersport has a performance figure of a 395 kilometers per hour top speed and a 0 to 100 in less than 3 seconds. But there's no independent tests conducted, and a lot of people seem to doubt that. Some even goes on and seems to doubt the actual existence of the car. I mean, this car has been barely introduced to the public. I mean, all the cars in the auto shows, they were pretty odd too. They like use plastic bucket seats, and the so-called luxurious interior was only revealed in graphics and not in real life. So there's a lot of debate over this car, and a lot of supercar enthusiasts don't like it too. You can open the rear spoiler, which is a pretty nice feature, again, for a car in this price range. Nothing much to see in the bottom. It's pretty plain. So to conclude, because JADA Toys is a toy company that doesn't really make a lot of 1/18 scale collector models, it does have some pretty weird shortcomings in a structure that seems to resemble that of a toy. It's very simple, but I think it's a pretty well detailed model for the price, and it looks quite good too. I mean, from a distance, it almost looks, as if it's not a budget model car. So if you're not a hater of the car, I think this will be a fine addition. Yeah, so that wraps up today's video. Do me a favor, click thumbs up and subscribe for more, and I'll see you in the next video.